Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Lakin. This is the lovely Sara Van Beckum we have joining us from Oregon. And this lovely lady sitting next to me is Jeanne Celestine Lakin, author of Voice in the Darkness. And today we're going to talk about how we know Sara, how we came together, and how we've started a beautiful relationship with her, which we completely appreciate. Now I'm
Absolutely.
going to hand the mic over to Jeanne here.
Well, thank you very much, my love. Well, Sara, it's such an honor to just have you. And I just want to let my fans know that the book that they've been reading, A Voice in the Darkness, is going to be on Audible. And that would not have happened without Sara. So we're just so super excited to share your voice with the world, Sara. Sara, you came up. I listened to you. I was like, literally, it was like, there was this thing that I was like, this is it. I looked at Paul and I said, this is the person that I want. And I hope she doesn't reject me. Yep. And so we...
For the people that don't know, the way ACX works as an interface, as a platform, is you put your book title in, and then you could upload a few pages of your material and start doing auditions, at which time you can hear samples. So you play little samples. There's a profile there, but we just saw Sara's name. I want to say she was in the first or second page of these audition samples, not reading separate material. And once Jeanne heard her voice, and we were both searching at the same time, she said, boom, that's it. This is the voice of an angel. This woman is me, or understands my soul, understands a part of me, and we have to get her. And how that's kind of how it happened on our end.
Yeah.
How did it happen on your end, and what do you remember about that first communication?
Yeah, I actually had my sister was visiting me, and I was having dinner with her and my niece, and I guess at one point I looked at my email and I said, "Oh my goodness, you guys, somebody's asked me to audition for their book," and to be honest, that hasn't happened for me before. So it was immediately a compliment, and I just was grateful and flattered, and so I kind of filed it away. And so the next day I went to work on the copy. I think we had a couple of emails back and forth because I wasn't clear on what script I should use. And then when I saw the content was about the Rwandan genocide, immediately I thought to myself, well, I of course knew about it, but I felt like, oh my goodness, am I able to do this? I had been focusing in nonfiction, but mostly in things that were not so memoir based. So I hadn't done a lot of character work, and these are real people, and because I wanted to make sure that this story that matters so much was done well. I did question, can I do this? And so anyway, I then did audition, and because I thought, well, I'm going to audition, but I mean, I audition, I don't know how many times a day. And, as an actor, you just kind of get used to, I just did the audition and then you move on. And then I think it was just a couple days later that I think y'all said that you would like me to do the book. And that's when I really got nervous, because then I thought, oh my goodness, how can I do this story well? And then I think we talked on the phone, and already I had read the piece, and I really felt like, I've told Jeanne and Paul this, it felt a little bit like I was reading an excerpt from the Bible, and I told my sister and my niece who were there, I said, I mean, this is. So from there, we had a conversation, and it was on the phone I think within seconds, guys, we were crying. I was crying. Jeanne, you were crying. Paul, I don't know if you were crying. But I knew that, you know, I've had a few moments in my life when there are just times, you know, that something is bigger than us is at work. And that's what it felt like in that moment. So I still hadn't read the book, but I knew from the feeling and your certainty about me, which of course the whole time I just have to give over to y'all that just trust that that's the way it is for you. And now I don't know, you know, if you want to parlay this into the next part, guys, what happened next?
Yeah. So when you sent in like the first audition, oh my gosh, Sara, I listened to it so many times. To the point I had my sister listen to it. Oh my gosh, she is God sent to me. And so my excitement was like, is nobody else? If, you know, I told Polly, I was like, how do we sign the contract? How do we get her to sign this contract? But you're just an incredible person. I was like, you know, your voice behind my book, this is what I felt like. I was like, your compassion, your kindness, your powerful voice, the calmness of it. I was like, this is how I want it to be portrayed. And so when you say we gave you a gift, I feel like you gave us the biggest gift. And maybe this would lead into like when you gave me a call as you were getting nervous. So, you know, you said, I have never been to Rwanda. I know the genocide. But
from America.
Yes.
So there are natural reservations about, well, it's different in the audiobook industry.
Right.
But it's kind of like similar. It's getting to the same place of film or theater where, you know, purists have the idea that they want somebody from that part of the world to read, or you could explain this better. But I could tell you that despite your guys' difference in upbringing and melanin, you know, slight differences in physical features, your soul is connected to Jeanne's soul and vice versa. And that was the most powerful driving force in her that I saw. She was like a wild bull charging to get you. Like, there was no stopping you. It didn't matter if you're purple, green, where you're from, Iceland, New Zealand, New Guinea. She wanted you because of your soul, and your voice. Your spirit, your voice, and who you are. And really, I mean, I'm jabbering away here, but the book is about, you know, how these subtle differences in how humans have developed and changed, and how those labels that we kind of slap on ourselves or society does, how they're not as important as what's on the inside.
The human family, basically, that we embody. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when Sara was like, you know, at first, Sara, actually, I wanted like our audience to know, I did not, when I selected you, I didn't even go on your social media to look you up. I was like, I don't care. She just sounds perfect for the work. And so I was sitting, like when you gave me a call that night and said, maybe we need to find somebody famous. And I told you, or somebody popular, somebody who's been to Rwanda. And I said to you, I was like, I don't care about being famous. It was just like, maybe, you even said, maybe there'll be somebody who, and I will let you speak to this too, maybe there'll be somebody who's more known than you are. And I was like, in my heart, you're famous as anybody else. And I never looked at this book as something that I wanted to be, that will create fame, right? I wanted to be a service. I felt like the reason I survived the genocide was to be a service to the world, to really tell these stories, to speak about peace and reconciliation in a way that's the gift I can give to the world. And through your voice, to be able to help through this, I believe in human family. And so it didn't matter, again, like Polly said, who you were. Like, I didn't care about the skin color. I didn't care whether, I just knew that I prayed and I asked God, please bring me to somebody that I believe that you wanted to be part of this project, that will be able to tell this story for life, basically. Your voice is going to be part of this for life. And Sarah, I want
you were reluctant.
Oh yeah, I was.
Obviously, it was as idealistic.
Well, what happened was, so then I read the book, and then I really knew, that both the gift and the hurdles in terms of could I do this, right? And could I do it justice? So again, I wasn't even thinking at that point about skin color or anything like that, because I had initially those concerns, but then when we met and you had made me the offer, I think I forgot about those issues. So I'm getting to the work and I'm starting to think, okay, I'm going to call upon the experts in the business. And what's great about the audiobook world is it's small and people are incredibly willing to help one another. So I reached out to a couple of coaches to help me with character development and tone and pacing and all of that, because I kind of went with my gut for the audition, and then needed to move for 259 pages. And I needed more than my gut. So anyway, so I involved some other folks, and then going along, I realized what I really need is someone to direct me. I need someone to be holding my hand on the other end of the line when I'm recording. So at that point, I reached out, and again, small industry, was immediately given to someone who was very high level at one of the best publishing houses in the country, and wonderful person who got on the phone with me. She replied right away to my email at like 9:00 at night. And she said, "Hey, do you have a minute to talk on the phone?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, yes." And so we got on the phone, and she said, "I'm so glad you reached out." And she said, "And I really don't think this should be your voice." And she was the way she talked about it was so. She was doing the right thing. Let me put it that. So it felt. We spoke for about 45 minutes and I heard everything she had to say. And out of that conversation, I realized, well, Jeanne could get not only a better voice, but potentially someone with a large platform that could help get your story out to the world, and we started to bandy about names of folks that I won't hear, but people that I was very excited about the prospect of them reading your story. And because ultimately the minute I met you, but also once I spent time with the material, I thought everyone needs to hear this story, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be the one to help it. So the story was the most important thing to me. And I just, so then I went to you. No, I wrote you an email, and I said all of this and I laid it all out. And I was driving over to a friend's house for dinner, and the phone rang from someone with a Washington phone number, and I just picked it up, and it was you guys. And you were hilarious because you said you were drinking wine, and you said,
I'm going to have a second glass of wine, Sarah. I feel like you're breaking up with me. I'm going to have another glass of
exactly
one glass of wine. But I was like, oh my gosh, so I went from like this high to like, right. Oh man. But also I didn't want you to like stick to it if you didn't feel like your gut was in it 100%. That I was like, I'm going to be heartbroken, but I want you to trust your gut as well.
That's what we talked about. Like with cancel culture is like, it's the population, the public can be ruthless, like without knowing the nuances of people's lives and their stories and why they make the decisions they make. And we just didn't want that to happen to you. Like, however they would try to portray you. We're just like, if she doesn't feel comfortable with it, this is her career. She's highly skilled. She has so much talent. She has so much more future, so much more good to do in this arena. Or like, I was advocating really hard. Like, we can't put her in that position, if she has these very real concerns about how Twitter reacts and how people can kind of have these knee-jerk reaction.
Can I tell Sarah what I said? Like when he came to, coming to me with that, I said, I will protect her.
However, with your Twitter handle.
Oh yes, I was ready to do whatever that I needed to do. I was like, I can just go back and comment on everybody. And then I'm thinking like YouTube is large and Twitter there's all these other platform. And I was like, to be fair, your career means everything. But I was like, so I actually want you to continue with the person you reached out to, because that person also reached out to me to make sense out of my brain. Sorry, Sarah.
No. So that was terrific, because then when you guys called, and then I think we were laughing and I think probably crying again on the phone, because whenever I talk to you guys, I cry, but like happy tears too, because again, I felt that human connection, like that we were friends, like we were cracking up about drinking wine, and I was going to my friends to drink wine about it too, because I had been so inspired by the story. And then I thought, oh, but I really shouldn't do it. And so anyway, so then what happened was I thought, well, gosh, I still think that there's a chance that Jeanne, and I was so touched by the fact that you did release me in that call. And again, your faith and awareness of like, if it wasn't going to be me, you'd find the best person to do it, And so that helped, that I knew that you were going to be fine and that you were going to, So I said, the last thing I think that I need to do in order to check that box was for you to get to talk to the industry executive who really was better equipped at expressing what she was concerned about. And basically what she was saying, I'll try to be brief, is just that the audiobook world, like all the other worlds that's happening right now, and thank God it's happening, everybody's becoming more sensitive to making sure that the people who are telling our stories match the audience or match the person who went through the experience. And this person said to me, don't let me presume, do you have any connection to Rwanda? Have you been there? Are you related? And I said, no, I don't have any. And I don't have any connection to Rwanda except caring about it and being moved by Jeanne's story. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe Jeanne can, because she had, a Rolodex of the best names in the business. And I thought, gosh, if Jeanne could get one of the best names in the business to read this story, then all would be good. And this would have been my role here was helping you get to the right person. And so I said, the best thing to happen is for you to talk to this person. And so you guys did. And then what?
So I was holding tears as I spoke to her, because I was like, I don't care how many names you pull out, give me. Respectively, I was like, I want to hear her out. I want to hear her concerns. So we are both on the same page. But I kept saying, obviously she was like, these are names that are, out there for, publicity, for marketing. It's going to be helpful for your book. And I just kept coming with, I don't care about fame. I think Sara is perfect. She's good enough.
She's already famous.
She's already literally in our heart, my heart, in my mind, in heaven, Sarah's famous already, and that's all we need. I remember at the end of our conversation, she said, would you consider these people? I was like, no, I am so 100% sold on Sara.
Yeah.
And if Sara doesn't pick up the project, I'm going to just repost the book and hopefully find somebody else. Actually, I said a clone of Sara. That's what I'm looking for.
Which doesn't exist.
And then I had another glass of wine that night, because I was like, oh my gosh, I guess so. It felt like a breakup almost. And I told you via email a few times, I was like, oh my gosh. As relaxed as I was, that if this is not what God intended, then that's not what it is, and then I cannot hold on to that. But also was like, my goodness, I hope Sara, I was praying that you change your mind, that you come back and disregard all these other things. And also was like, just I feel like my instinct was, one of the reasons I survived is to really bring that sort of like, the peace and reconciliation, and also to this kind of begin to talk about the human family. Doesn't matter what part of the religion you are, doesn't matter what gender, doesn't matter what your, sexual orientation is, all of that didn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, as long as we can treat one another with kindness, with love. And so I was like, I wish people could just see that that's something that I embody. And that's something that you're trying to do to help this story go out to the world as well.
And you had that in your spirit as well.
Right. We captured that at the beginning.
Like why you would be, like your love and your ability to be sincere and honest and open and loving was so close to Jeanne's heart. It's like if we're reflections of each other, you two are, your spirits are a reflection of each other.
I hope so.
I even told you, I was like, she kind of sounds like me.
Because this was her,
I know.
Yeah, because this was her journal from her heart and her soul,
right.
Not from her, physical appearance, but from her mind, from the deepest part of her soul. She found somebody who is a reflection of that, who shares some of those qualities, and she's like, this is the person. They don't have to speak Kinyarwanda or be from Rwanda.
Yeah.
She already understands.
Right.
She understands why I'm going, why I wrote the things I wrote, why I handled it the way I handled it, because she has a similar heart. And that's really that was the powerful driving force in all of this from, my perspective, watching her and you.
And listening, it was, I think I just remembered when, I don't remember what Sara said. You have to edit this out because my brain is not thinking straight.
No problem.
Gosh, what did I say?
The part about the anonymous thing?
I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Remember, because you had that thought in the middle of the night?
Yeah, Sara, I was like, okay, maybe my brain that night was like spinning, going like, what other ways can we do this without Sara being,
risking her career.
Risking your career, and also just like your reputation being, not being harmed by the public just because you chose to do the right thing, something you're talented about, something you're just so great about. Perfect for. And I thought, let's just not have your name on it and see how the public behaves. And if they don't point out that it's a white woman reading my story, then we can come back and put your name, there. But I had so many other ways, thinking of other ways, but it was also like really bothering me that we are at this point in the world, even in our nation, to have such, discrimination, because it just gets my brain spun so much. As a genocide survivor, I'm like, our differences are so small. Our DNA being 99.9, plus, is just to see those differences and for people to kind of base opportunities and, off of that, it just.
And in this situation, really, it's one person's choice to be represented by another person who they are comfortable with, who they have a deep connection with, and who they believe in entirely. I could see, some of the, the historical implications and some of the points that the professional from the publishing house was mentioning about the history of media and film and theater and, I understand that wholeheartedly, and I'm very conscious of American history and the very real challenges that we've had with race relations and inequities, and it's real, and poverty. It's real, 100% is real, and we are 100% sympathetic to that. But in this situation, this isn't a big company, Universal, making a big film.
Right.
This is a simple personal decision that one person made to another that
the connection
she so respects and loves and believes that she can own the story, which she's.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Paul, because that's what my friend said that night that I went to her house at dinner, at the night that we almost had our breakup phone call, because I went over to her house and she said, but who gets to decide? Shouldn't it be Jeanne? And I got goosebumps because I said, well, absolutely. So I'm embarrassed that it took me, the journey that it took me to get there, that I would say, yeah, I don't get to choose this. I mean, the thing that I feel good about is that we're doing it consciously, right? And you were possibly doing it consciously all along, although you said you didn't know what my skin color was or anything when you looked, because you didn't look at my social media. But I like that what ended up happening is that you ultimately made a conscious choice.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and so then once I knew that I was the person that you chose, I could start to do the work and feel, and anytime I got concerned, I was telling Paul and Jeanne that I just finished the book this week, the last chapter. And although I haven't done the epilogue and afterward, because I thought it would be good to save for after this conversation, but along the way, whenever I was concerned that I wasn't hitting what I needed to, or getting the right, the voice of your dad, or whatever I was getting an opportunity to do, I just used your trust and faith in me. And it carried me through, and I would, allow it to come through my body, and because of the writing, and because of the story, and because of the magic and the beauty of your story, it was powerful. It worked. It's alive in this room right now because of the way that you wrote it. I don't know how you did it. I really don't.
So many years, Sarah. We spent so many years. It's just in back and forth, because even like Polly, like we had conversations with few people, publishers especially, wanting to cut off some parts of the book because it was like very like, this is too raw of the story to tell. But then we were like, I said, if I cannot tell this story the way it happened, then I don't want to publish the book, because I want those voices to be the real voices, the real experience that happened. And again, I tell people that there's nothing romantic about the genocide. It's just inhumane. But to have that somebody who can just like really portray the story as it happened, which at this point, Sarah, we wrote the book, but you're going to be the voice that carries this whole story for life. We just love your beautiful voice. We fell in love with you, with your voice, and then your personality. The world has a gift in you. And I'm hoping and praying that a lot of people get to hear your voice and come to you for opportunities. Yeah. For you to give them a gift, really, because you just have such an incredible voice, and your kindness shows through, your voice as well. So
it sure does.
And you're gorgeous.
She says you're like a sister to her. And
yes.
This might sound weird to some people, but we have family that are, Native American, that are Latino, that are Asian, that's how we look at it. That's how we look at the world. And, it's a different way, I guess, of looking at the world. But it's so natural. It's very natural for us to do that. So yeah, honestly, that's.
Yeah, when we think
I don't know if I added anything to the conversation.
You did great. I think when I think of, the kingdom of God, how we're all how it's going to look like, it involves all of us. And, doesn't matter what color, it doesn't matter what, religion, we're just all made out of God's image. And to be in this colorful world and being accepted and being loved on, it's what's important. So I'm just thrilled and excited to share your voice, Sarah. It feels like, I don't know if I should say this, you can edit this. It feels like you're giving birth to a baby through somebody else.
Yeah.
You are our surrogate.
Yeah, you are.
Well, I feel like I've come through something reading this book and hearing your voice for a month, which is what it's been really, I think about. And so thank you, both of you guys, for having faith in me that I could voice your story. I think it's amazing too, the title of the book, A Voice in the Darkness, and that, Paul, I think it was you who said to Jeanne, no longer are you alone in the dark, with nobody to hear you. Everyone's going to hear you.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me be a part of that.